Welcome to Michigan Reimagined, presented by T.A. Forsberg and Wagoner Financial. And here's your host, Chris Buck.
So we talk quite a bit on Michigan Reimagined about small and medium business support. It's tough to find harder working and more passionate people than business owners. Yet many have spinning heads and spin their wheels and struggle to try to get the returns they feel they deserve. Here to discuss the services provided by Endurium Advisors is the founding partner, Eric Gerdes, and the automation architect, Matt Downs. Welcome to the show, Eric and Matt.
Great. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. So as we dive into the services that you provide, talk about kind of that typical business ownership journey, right? So you get a tinkerer who starts a business, they live the life cycle and then try to retire or sell somewhere down the line. You have a specific opinion as to what that journey tends to look like. So walk us through that.
Yeah, no, it really, it starts with a dream, right? For a lot of small businesses and medium-sized businesses, they have a passion for an industry, and they'll get into that industry and they'll go through a startup period, they'll go through a growth period, they'll get into kind of a maturity state, and then they get into this part where, you know, I'm 25, 30 years into it, now what? And we work with them. We work with clients in all parts of that journey, whether they're a startup all the way through kind of what do I do now? I've been in this for a long time. My kids may or may not want it. I don't know, what my next steps are. Unfortunately, a lot of them will close and maybe not monetize the value that they've built over 25, 30 years because they don't realize what options they do have. And we really try to help them prepare for it.
That's fantastic. So, but that isn't as clean as you're saying, right? So they run into these pitfalls, right? So what tends to be like the first pitfall that these folks get trapped in?
Yeah, I mean, one of the pitfalls that we see a lot is rapid growth. Especially with startups or when you participate in angel investing or those types of scenarios, they really focus on the growth side. I'm going to hire salespeople. I'm going to grow. And what we do at Endurium is we really focus on the fulfillment side. The ability to accommodate the orders when they come in. That's great that we get the orders, but can we actually deliver the product? And can we deliver them on time? Can we deliver them at a high quality? And I think they grow too fast sometimes. And that's what external investors are sometimes looking for is that quick growth, and they want to try to optimize their investment.
Right.
Instead of building a long-term sustainable business.
Right.
And that's what we kind of focus on.
Yeah. I've seen companies that are doing maybe $1 million and have, a profit of 250,000 and they kill themselves to grow to 5 million. And then they have a profit of 100,000. Exactly. So it's like not all revenue is good revenue, if it's costing you more, right? So just that automation and
we have a funny little slogan. We say, revenue is vanity, profitability is reality.
There you go. Okay.
And so focusing on those margins and things can really, obviously you want to focus on what you retain. You want to grow your top line too, but only if it makes sense from a margin perspective too.
Right on. So how did Endurium get started to be the business of helping businesses? And in a kind of a broad sense, because we'll dig in deeper, like what services do you provide these business owners?
So Endurium started back in 2020, which was a great time to start a business. But my co-founder, Jeremiah Worthington, and I just had we were working for a different organization and just had this vision of how can we help more people? How can we share some of the skills and techniques that we have that we've learned over being at a Fortune 500 company most of our career? How do we bring it to small and medium-sized businesses and let them realize the benefits of what we can offer? So we kind of started there. Our small business division and our which we call Small Business Excellence was really founded from people saying, "Hey, can you help a friend of mine that that is in the scenario I just described? They're getting."
Right.
They're 25, 30 years into their business. They're not sure how to proceed from here. They're working 60, 70 hours, 80 hours a week in the business.
Yep.
And so we really started formulating a program where we could actually be fractional, tangible support, and really focus on trying to help them, become scalable and saleable.
Right.
And without them being the only thing that makes the company go.
There's so much to unpack there, and I've had personal experience in trying to help those kinds of companies, and there's a couple things I'd like to just say. So one of them is a lot of times these small businesses don't have the ability to hire the higher dollar employee that can help them learn the things that they're not doing well, right?
Right.
So these small companies can't hire a CFO of quality for what a CFO is going to want, or a COO, or a human resources manager, right? I mean, so usually they become Jacks or Jills of all trades. They're kind of HR, they're kind of math, accounting. So that fractional, you use the word fractional, and I've seen that used like COO to go or CFO to go, or they might even be brands. I apologize if I stepped on any branding toes out there, but so you come in as kind of a obviously for a fee, but you can give them that kind of expertise without having them wear the weight of that entire staff that you're actually helping them bring to the table, right?
Yeah, you nailed it. And I think fractional is a really good way to go. There's a couple of reasons. And actually, going back to your pitfall question, we do a lot of valuations, and we use a system that really assigns a company-specific risk to the weighted average cost of capital. A heavy factor that goes into that is, do you have a board of advisors? Do you have a board of directors?
Yep.
And I think that's a pitfall, because when you're 25 years in, you've kind of got it there, but you have this groupthink mentality. You're in the business, your employees, your leadership team, they've been there the whole time. They don't have this external view of what's going on in other business types, other industries, what's new with technology, what are better ways to do these things. And that's where this fractional really comes in. And we felt there was a need, and we've been able to provide that to our customers, is they get an instant board of advisors and also support. You don't need a CFO necessarily 160 hours a month, but you need a CFO 2 to 3 hours a month.
Right.
Maybe a CHRO, maybe a CTO. We have those experts on our team that you have access to that team, this fractional support team that comes in and actually does that work for you. And it helps them tremendously. And we bring in kind of that aspect of having a board of advisors, because we all have various experiences. I think a fancy way of saying we're older is we have a lot of people with a lot of experience in a lot of areas, and we're able to leverage that and bring it to our clients in a way that really helps them.
And so what I'm hearing from you is, people, there are other services out there that'll help keep your small business team on track and be deliberate and organized and successful on purpose and stuff, but they kind of come in and mentor you for a day or for a couple of hours once a month or whatever, and give you assignments and homework and all that stuff. And there's a ton of value in that type of a service. But what I'm hearing you say is that you're more boots on the ground, hands in the operation, obviously confidentiality and all that stuff. Yeah. But you get in there and you get to know what makes this company live and breathe, and you do the work as opposed to assigning it to people who are already overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
It's very fair. And what we find is there's great programs out there. They have good templates, good structure, good ideas. Telling a person that's in the field 70 hours a week that they need to come home and work on their strategic vision document, they need to work on their operating plan and these things, sure, I'll get right to it. They might even pay to have the 1 day, 2 day type thing come in, and they do that, but very few of them that we've experienced have carry through. And so what we did is said, there's two things. There's time and expertise. Sometimes the business owners will have the expertise, but they don't have the time, or sometimes they don't have either. They're not HR leaders, or they're not strategic leaders, or they're not finance leaders. And that hands-on execution really helps them. We need their input. We work with them, but if we can take it away and do the lion's share of it and have them approve it, but then also help them implement and execute throughout their organization, it gets done. And I think that's the one thing that Endurium was founded on that I think really separates us is we advise, but we mostly do. Jeremiah always uses a line, we'll do as much or as little as you'd like us to. And we believe that at our core. We'd really like to help you. And back to another question you asked earlier too, with Endurium getting started, my career, I always had a sticky note with things on it. And you'd always think, I'm going to cross these off. Right. And boy, days would come and go, and years would come and go, and you still have that list, and sometimes it'd even be the same list.
Right.
And we're that company that crosses those things off your list.
Fantastic. Well, we're talking about, monetizing your business and doing it deliberately. So it only makes sense for me to thank our folks at Wagoner Financial. So are you ready to make smart financial decisions? Wagoner Financial offers proven processes for financial transformation, empowering individuals at all stages. Whether you're starting out, nearing retirement, or anywhere in between, stop feeling unsure about your financial path. Wagoner Financial can help you undergo a financial transformation. Schedule a consultation today to discuss your individual needs and discover how Wagoner Financial can guide you through this transformation. Visit wagoner-financial.com or call them at 517-853-3367. So I also have some experience in knowing that these small business owners have an inflated sense of the value of their business, right? So, and then a lot of them honestly start the process of wanting to sell their business because they're just done.
Yeah.
A, is that fair? And B, what is your message to business owners who maybe haven't hit that wall yet on imploring them to start now? Because again, I guess maybe even the first question to that is how much does Endurium engage with companies to just run more successfully now as they're in their zone, or to click into another gear of automation and efficiency and successful on purpose and profitability? And how much of your work is really deliberately to set the business up to be sold or transitioned to another owner?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think different owners are in different mindsets of where they're at. Our goal, honestly, behind the scenes is we want to give them an option. If we set it up to run well and they're not the primary talent, if they can run their business and work on their business instead of being in the business, we'd like them to have the opportunity to maybe have a cash cow for long term. Maybe they don't have to sell. There's tax reasons. There's, we work with a lot of financial planners that, they want to understand, what do you think your business is worth so we can help you plan for your retirement? And I say, look, if we can give you the option that it runs because you have the right leadership team in place and you have the right structure in place and you have a vision, a mission, you're like moving toward that North Star, if you will, and the business runs itself, you may not be in as big of a hurry to sell it. The other thing is with the same thing, it's not that attractive. And I listened to your podcast recently with, I think it was Exit.
Exit.
Factor.
Yeah, Exit
Factor.
Yep.
And they nailed it with their comment on, sometimes everyone thinks they're worth a lot and they're going to sell, but if they're the talent, it isn't going to be that attractive to a buyer because they're going to have to come in and replace that time.
It's the hit by the bus metaphor.
It is.
If you get hit by a bus, your business shuts down. If you went on a 2-month vacation, do things continue to roll or do they kind of fall apart because it's all in your head?
Yeah, I think you actually said something similar to that before. And I agree wholeheartedly. And oftentimes when we work with our owners, their goal is to take a vacation. They haven't had one in 25 years.
Right.
And we had one recently that did and called us from their trip and said, hey, this is great. And you know what? The company ran just fine. If you have the right structure in place, you have, and we're, with our hands on, we run their operation meetings. We run their finance meetings. We run their leadership meetings. Our team, we set an agenda. We run through things. We hold people accountable. Everything in Endurium is built around 3 easy words: clarity, measurement, and accountability. And we drive that with all parts of their company. But if that's clicking, you can leave. Or, a lot of the owners like to be involved in sales, but they can't sell if they're doing the work. And so really moving them into their lane where they're comfortable, works well too. But it's not worth a lot if they're the talent. But back to your other question on, and I think they nailed it too in their podcast recently too, is they all think they're worth more than what they are. And we help try to get financing for them for a sale for buyers, and we try to facilitate a lot of these. And everyone looks at the deal, in their way. So buyers are willing to pay what they're willing to pay, and sellers are willing to sell for what they're worth, which is why the majority don't get sold.
Right. We'll talk about that. Do you have any stats about that, or
I do. And there's a lot to it, and how you want the transaction to occur. But I think, and I did look up a few stats, but 70% of American businesses are owned by baby boomers that want to sell soon. And when you think of that, that's a pretty significant number of businesses. 90% that want to sell, approximately 90% won't sell. So
90%.
When you think, and I've seen anywhere from 80 to 90. I use 90 because it was the one that I recently pulled for another presentation I was doing. But that's a pretty high percentage, and I think it's pretty consistent with what I've heard from other folks as well. because there's just a lot to it, and it's maybe not worth what I'm willing, and I'm not going to sell. And what we really try to do is be realistic with them. When the first thing we do, ideally with a client, is we do an assessment. It's a very thorough assessment, not 25 questions, more 200, 300, 400 questions to really understand all aspects of your business. We'll then pull your financials in, and we'll do a very realistic, discounted cash flow, multiple. We'll look at market value, all types of things to give you kind of where we think your company is worth. But then more specifically, how do we drive and grow your enterprise value to get real EBITDA that's repeatable, consistent? And if you can get to that cash flow, those monthly, annual cash flows that are generating, positive accumulation of cash, as you go forward, your company's going to be worth a lot more. And we give you a very detailed roadmap, but then help you execute that roadmap. If we can do that, your company we'll show you what it's worth today, but what it could be worth in 12 months, 24 months, 36 months, if you do these things. And that can help optimize that value. If you get that value and there's a buyer because you do have a sound company, that it's not a shell game, it's a real company with real structure, and that's very attractive to buyers, which there are a lot of buyers out there right now. I think that's pretty consistent that there are transactions happening. There's a lot of people interested in investing in companies, but you have to have something attractive to buy.
So if I'm listening to this podcast and I'm intrigued by the things that you're saying, could I hire Endurium to just come in and do that assessment? And, maybe even, and can I buy the assessment results and kind of the recommendations and then hold off and maybe not engage to have you deploy all that stuff on my behalf? Or is it all kind of a full package where you want a commitment before you go?
You can absolutely buy the assessment and the valuation and the roadmap. It's a very thorough report. It's, not the number of pages is that important, but it's 70, 80 pages of real content that shows you in 8 categories, including people, finance, legal, operations, marketing, sales, et cetera, by category, specifically what you can do to drive your enterprise value and improve your performance too. So it's not always about just driving enterprise value for a sale. It could be let's just run better.
Right.
Let's just build our company and run it to perform better if we can. Why not? And that's where I think we add a lot of value with that external experience, with our systems and our templates and our, all of that. And most importantly, our labor time, us doing that work, we can help you get there, but you can absolutely do it on your own. We'll happily go through that questionnaire and at least let you know where you're at, and kind of what we would recommend you do to see gains.
And are there industry types that you tend to specialize in? Are there company types that you don't respectfully want to get involved with, or is there a sweet spot sizing?
No, there's sound business principles that are truly applicable at any industry. And I had somebody one time say, it sounds like you're everything to everybody. We're not everything to everybody, but we're really good at what we do, and it's applicable in any industry. Things like strategy documents, operating plans, how do we execute on that? Sales and marketing plans, budget and forecast, pricing analytics, all of that stuff is sound in any industry. And we have experience in many industries, probably not all, but I would say a lot or many, throughout our team. And I think it's truly applicable. That being said, we do have a lot of $1 million, $2 million, $3 million clients, which is the majority of the businesses when you think about small and medium-sized businesses. I think they feel left out a lot, which we have a soft spot for those folks. Trying to get a transaction, a lot of firms won't touch you if their fee isn't going to be hundreds of thousands of dollars. That's not doable for a $1 million or $2 million sale. And we work really hard with them to improve their company and give them a future where they have a choice in it. Maybe I do keep it. Maybe somebody in my family does want to take it over, or maybe an employee wants to take it over, that kind of thing. But no, I think we really try to give them options by improving the overall performance and doing what we can.
Got it. Okay, so mom and pop restaurant, manufacturing company, CPA firm. I mean, really, it's not white collar, blue collar, big, small.
No, we truly have a mix.
That's great.
Several financial services institutions, as an example, banks, credit unions. Landscape companies, it can be printing companies. It can be, kind of anything, really when you think of the industry. But there are a lot of small businesses that can use advice and help. And And it's really cool to see. The other thing I really like about those, Chris, is those $1 and $2 million companies can become $4 and $5 million companies pretty quickly.
Right. Yep.
If they look beyond their community they're in and look at the neighboring community, or and we show them how to grow and scale, and it's after they're ready. We make sure they're ready, and then you can institute their way or their method, and we always kind of latch on to their company name, and this is going to be the way that we do things, and we can repeat that in other territories or other areas, other product lines. We really look at everything for them and try to look externally as much as we can.
Are you often engaged by these companies directly, or do you have kind of referral source stuff? I think about local economic development organizations. I think about like the small business development centers. The universities will often have kind of startup and second stage funding and things of that nature. Do you ever get those kinds of partners saying, I need to put you in front of this company because they've got it going on, but they could use help like yours, and that's not what I do? Or do you have companies that have loans where the banks are just like, this company needs to pay some money to get their balance sheet in the right place so they can repay my loan and kind of mandate? Does that kind of work?
We think there's a natural fit there. I would say most of our growth in this part of our business has been either word of mouth referrals, or marketing, things like that. We do have some partnerships, that we work really hard with to try to help. Commercial lending is a great one. We do have a lot of commercial lending partners that do see the value in what we do, and it helps if we can show them being able to improve their ability to generate cash flow. It makes a loan a lot more appetizing. So I think we can help them, and we're fortunate enough to do an event with Independent Bank recently, and we talked a lot about their covenants, and if they can perform and do better with that, they can it gives them a lot better shot of not having to have any of those covenants redone, or they can meet the commitments of their loans, and there's a lot of benefits to that. So it's a very astute question on the lending side. We think commercial lending is a great partnership for us, or the lending side of banks and financial institutions, and it can be a really good partnership. And we have had several referrals from commercial lending. So.
Yeah, it seems like they would benefit by the people that are lent money to be more profitable, right?
Yeah, I was trying to say that as
I can say it.
You can say it. Thank you.
And I got to ask Matt, so automation architect, how would you unpack what your role is within Endurium, and then talk about the other roles within your employee set, right? Because it seems like you need different people with different skill sets.
Yep. So I focus primarily on robotic process automation, which is our software automation product. Basically, anything a human being can do on a computer, we come in and automate, right? We look at the process, we lean out Six Sigma that process, and if it's a repeatable process, something we can write business rules around, we look at automating that process. We're not trying to replace those employees. What we're really trying to do is take away that mundane task, what they don't want to do, the stuff that they're not enjoying. It's not value add to the employee, and it actually boosts their morale.
Right.
So when we remove those tasks, we automate them. Our robots operate 2 to 3 times faster. They run 24 hours a day.
Accurate.
100% accurate. And that's a big thing for a lot of our clients is the accuracy, right?
Right.
And we're doing that for less than the cost of a full-time employee, right? And so we're able to go in and displace 6, 8, 12 hours a day of manual labor, of manual computer labor, and have those employees focus on customer-centric type opportunities.
Yeah, if you can take away 20% of a person's work week and let them do something that a computer can't do, then you're getting like almost an extra employee for the same price.
Absolutely.
So that's great. Yeah. All right. And so that's what you do.
Yep.
And Eric, we've heard a lot of, obviously you're the architect of a lot of all this other stuff, but it sounds like you have financial focused people and you have operations focused. So tell me about some of the other roles that these people will come in, just so I get it.
Yeah, and really kind of holistically, we're really a transformation firm, which I think is just a fancy way of saying where you're at today and how you want to get to where you're at, whether it's a small business or even a larger institution, which we do have several larger institution clients where we're helping them with, a process redesign, or maybe they want us to run an RFP for a new LOS system, which is a loan origination system, or we'll do that work for them because we have the time and expertise to do it. Again, everything kind of falls into that. We can do that work for them. But we have 5 kind of core pillars of what we do. The first is really the strategic side. So we do a lot with strategic growth, which is strategic planning, valuations, which I talked a little bit about, business optimization assessments, which we do a lot of those, transformation advisory, and then post M&A integration. So a company may buy another company, and everyone's excited about the deal. Makers are excited about the deal, and I always liken it to, like, when you go home with your first child, like, now what?
Right.
So
Yep.
I can't believe they let me out with this thing. And
I don't have a license. I don't have.
yeah, and the post-merger team, a lot of times they don't even have one, and so we'll come in and we'll actually help with all of the post-merger stuff, and that's all part of that strategy side. Then we have a business excellence, which is a core for us. I think of it as the O-line. How do you, you have all the support functions, sales, marketing, accounting, legal, compliance, risk, et cetera. But then you have the core operation, your fulfillment, and we really like to get in that area and help with process evaluation, process improvement, which is where automation comes in a lot. We'll see a process and we'll see an opportunity to improve it by automating it, and for all the reasons Matt just said very well. We do a lot with change management. There's a formula that Jeremiah and other the master black belts on our team would be mad if I didn't say, but we say Q times A equals E, and everyone typically has a good idea. The idea is the quality of the idea is usually there for most projects in any business that you're in. But the acceptance of that, or the change part of it, if the employees don't accept it, it won't work. So the quality of the idea times a high level of acceptance will significantly improve the effectiveness of that project. We work with institutions on change management itself, but also when we implement these things, making sure you get the right engagement at all levels of the organization, the with them, so they understand, why are we doing this? And so I would say everything we do at Endurium has a change management. We do our everything we can do to make the transition smooth and easy for their employee base, and we take a lion's share of that work for us. But that's all part of that business excellence with, transformation, et cetera. The third area is business support partnerships, which is a lot of what I've talked about. That's that fractional. We're your team. We come in, and it's not just the leadership team either, by the way. We have a really talented group of analysts, data experts, dashboard builders. We have a lot to our that we can bring in. A small business, a $2 million revenue business, probably doesn't have a PMO leader. We can bring in and run project management for you and also get the projects done. So that support partnerships, again, we talked a lot. Digital innovation is what Matt just hit. That's our fourth kind of category, and that's the automation. We do a lot. We can do app development. Automation's probably our biggest, though, the robotic process automation. We do a lot of RFPs, which is a request for proposal. For organizations, we do all of the scoring. We do all the vetting. We get it down to 2 or 3 selections for maybe a software vendor. And then the institution can come in, and obviously we've met with the business before to find out what's important to them. But doing that work takes a ton of time off their plate. And then the last is kind of the bow, if you will. But several of our clients asked us to train their people, so we have an entire training curriculum on everything I've just talked about for the most part. Maybe not the automation, but a lot of the BP, the business process excellence, in that we can really help their employees be able to execute this stuff on their own. So I feel like we feed them fish for a while, and then we can teach them how to fish afterwards if they want. But a lot of our clients want to eat first. So that's kind of the core of our.
So without having to use real numbers maybe per se, but how does your program work? Is it kind of a pay as you go? Is it amount of hours in a month that you get, do you bill them for the use of different teams? Or is it like a retainer system? You sign up for a 6-month program and we engage as much as you need us, and it starts heavy and wanes off. Generally speaking, how does your agreement structured?
Yeah, truly we can operate however the client wants to. We have several that are on retainer. It's just easier for them, especially our small businesses. They like to know kind of the fixed amount. And I'll tell you, we don't lock ourselves into X number of hours. If it takes more, we win some months and lose some months on that program. But it's more about the long-term vision and helping our clients kind of get to where they need to be. We definitely have a lot of project work too, which is time and material. And that we give an estimate. We only bill actual hours. We'll give an estimate so they have a ballpark.
Yep.
If there's a material change, we obviously let them know. And if there's anyone listening that would like a percent of value creation, we'd love to do that, but no one takes us up on that. So
really, okay.
Yeah, but we would love that kind of an opportunity if somebody's interested in that. But we feel very confident in what we're able to do. One thing I'll say too, and it's a little it's connected to this, but spending most of my career in the business side and now being on this side of it as a vendor. I realize now that as a vendor, we're ultimately accountable. When you're an employee, you get to say, things came up. I'm not able to get this done. But when you're an we have to deliver or they don't hire you. We are very comfortable going month to month because we believe in what we do. So somebody could terminate us at any time. And because of that, we feel very driven to perform. More so than I think a lot of we often will say we care as much or more maybe than the people we're working with in their organization.
Right.
Because we have to deliver results. So I think whether it's Endurium or another partner, that a lot of great ones you've had on, Chris, I would give it consideration if you're a business because these folks are really committed to delivering results, including Endurium.
And you find that obviously it's going to pay for itself.
It has to, yeah.
Yeah, right on.
Yeah.
Okay. How can people learn more?
There's several places. We are currently our website's under development. It's out there, but we're going to be launching a new one here in the next couple of weeks. But enduriumllc.com or an email at info@enduriumllc.com.
Can you spell Endurium for our team?
I sure can. ENDURIUM.
Got it.
Yeah, thank you for that.
No, hey,
Yeah.
Sometimes you hear it and you're like, I don't know how to spell that.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We've been talking to Endurium Advisors, the founding partner, Eric Gerdes, and the automation architect, Matt Downs. Thanks for coming in today. And I want to thank everyone else that has helped sponsor our shows. We got Forsberg Real Estate, Wagoner Financial, Triterra Environmental, Good Marketing, and the attorneys at Foster Swift, and Keller Williams Advantage and Team. These are fantastic people worth the call. And if you found this show as a one-off, I want to remind you that you can follow and subscribe to Michigan Reimagined on YouTube, Facebook, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and pretty much anywhere you find your podcast. This is Chris Buck. Thanks for listening to Michigan Reimagined.